Seemingly every single year, San Francisco is able to hit on a late round rookie that's able to contribute right away. Last year, for instance, their starting safety in Malik Mustafa was picked up in the 4th round, and this year, Marques Sigle, their 5th round selection out of Kansas State, has firmly cemented himself as San Francisco's starting safety heading into the season after 2 stellar preseason games. So given the fact that the 49ers' success largely depends on the 5th round rookie, I did want to break down his film, most recently from the Raiders, as well as a little bit of the Broncos film, to truly understand what San Francisco is getting out of the extremely athletic Sigle headed into the season. Initially, to start out, one of the things that really jumps out to me on Sigle's film is his ability to be an eraser on the defensive side of the ball. And while this is important for any defense, this is especially the case when you have a coach like Robert Saleh that likes to get creative. Here, for instance, he's acting like he's sending a blitz, lining up almost all of his defensive players on the line of scrimmage. Then post-snap, to further sell this look, as well as confuse Geno Smith, he's running a cover 3 coverage look with the man match towards the top of the screen, so if Geno Smith does look towards the top, potentially he thinks the blitz is coming, but because this corner is trailing this wide receiver, it does clear San Francisco's flats out, which does leave San Francisco susceptible to this back breaking out hard right here. But Marques Sigle is also able to read this and does a great job coming up from his safety position, breaking down in the open field, and despite going against one of the most athletic backs in the game, Marques Sigle also says, "Hey, I ran my 40-yard dash in 4.37 seconds, tackles him on 3rd down, and stops this Raiders drive right there." In a similar way against the Broncos, we routinely saw Sigle come up from his safety position and mitigate the weaknesses in San Francisco's coverages. Here, for instance, with San Francisco running cover 4, Nick Martin is responsible for the flat, but because he jumps on this running back coming out, this wide receiver crossing in front of his face is left unguarded, but Marques Sigle also sees that and shoots it as soon as the quarterback starts throwing, or maybe even a little bit beforehand, and is able to stop him for a pretty minimal gain on this play, with all things considered. In a similar way on this play, with Sigle in zone coverage, once again, he does a nice job of identifying this tight end, splitting these linebacker zone coverage, and then without hesitation, he's attacking this tight end, and while not able to break up the pass here, he has pretty great technique for a 5th round rookie trying to attack this ball, and headed forward, I'd expect Sigle to start breaking up these passes as he gets better at recognizing opposing teams' routes and then jumping the passes, and who knows, like we saw during his college days, he might run a few of those back for touchdowns. Another thing that's really impressed me on Sigle's film so far is his pre-snap reads. Here, for instance, he's able to identify the back in the backfield, which gives him an indicator it's a little bubble screen to him, and then post-snap, he's able to come up, break down like we saw before, and get the tackle on this back. Saleh also has loved the versatility he offers as a defensive back, as he is a former cornerback, so that does mean Saleh, like on this play, can go ahead and man him up basically on anyone. On top of that, because he is one of the more athletic safeties across the league, Saleh can send him on blitzes, or on this play, he's able to send him on almost like a pseudo blitz, then drops him off into zone coverage, which not many safeties would be able to play with this range. As impressive as Sigle's coverage abilities are though, he's probably actually better against the run. Here, for example, lined up on the line of scrimmage against the Raiders, he quickly is able to identify this running play, and then without hesitation, he shoots this lane forming the offensive line, and I absolutely love the way he hits. It kind of reminds me of Malik Mustafa or an old school safety like Dante Hittner. Another underappreciated part about his running game is the versatility he showed off. Not only could he play a traditional safety alignment, but he could also line up in a box safety role, take on wide receivers, sometimes tight ends, shed their block, and then get the tackle on the back. Here against the Broncos, for instance, Sigle is playing in the box safety role, meaning he's almost like another linebacker, so he takes his read step, is able to identify this running play with this guard pulling across the offensive line, but he has one major issue. This wide receiver is coming directly at him, and he has 2 running lanes to defend. But Sigle does an excellent job of maintaining a wide base, reading exactly where the back is going, shedding the wide receiver's block on this play, and then finally making the open field tackle like we've seen littered on his tape. Sigle also does a nice job of coming on blitzes when he is also responsible for the run. Here, for instance, he is coming on a blitz, but he's not just being reckless about it, he's an extremely smart player. Identifying the run here, for instance, he takes away this back's lane. The back is also able to identify Sigle there, and then tries to bounce outside. But because Sigle is such an athletic safety, he's actually able to shoot that lane and then chase him down, getting the tackle on the play. Now here in a traditional safety alignment, not being sent on a blitz, Sigle does an excellent job of once again identifying this running play with all of these offensive linemen pulling up to the second level, and maybe most importantly, he trusts his eyes, shoots it without any hesitation, breaks down in the open field, and I love the way he hits. In a similar way on this play, Sigle is playing a traditional safety alignment, and post-snap, you get to see he's San Francisco's lone deep safety, meaning if anyone gets behind him, it's going to go for a touchdown. And I love how Sigle also understands this, so he's not just shooting up the field trying to make the tackle in the backfield, but rather he comes in cool and collected, and once again, he's punishing this ball carrier for picking up any yards on his defense. With all these positives being mentioned about San Francisco's 5'11", 200-pound rookie safety, there are some clear weaknesses to his game, with probably the biggest in my opinion being his short arms. They only come in at 30 3/4 inches, meaning opposing teams' blockers can get inside his pads, and then it's a real struggle for him to actually disengage with those blocks. And because he does have shorter arms, it's also more challenging for him to wrap up a back, especially if they pull out maybe like a stiff arm on him or something which really exposes his arm length. And it's not just in the running game where his short arms can potentially hurt him, as in the passing game, if he did have longer arms, that would lead to more pass breakups and potentially interceptions for San Francisco. Sigle's aggression can also be used against him at times, especially on double moves. On top of that, he's not the most refined safety just yet, because he is pretty new to the position, because during his first couple of years at the collegiate level, he was playing cornerback at North Dakota State. And then when he transferred to Kansas State, he wasn't playing a traditional safety role, but more of a hybrid mix where he played almost like a nickel safety type of role. Still though, even with these concerns, I believe Marques Sigle is entering the perfect system to take advantage of his skills. When you look at San Francisco's old safety and Jimmy Ward, for instance, he had a similar ability to go ahead and line up against your best team's player, shut him down in man coverage, and then go deliver some brutal blows in the running game. So when I'm looking at Sigle as a player, while he does have some areas of concern to his game, I think headed forward, he's going to end up being one of San Francisco's better safeties they have had in a while, maybe on the same level as Talanoa Hufanga. But ultimately, these are just some of my thoughts on what he has shown so far for San Francisco, and I want to hear your thoughts about the 5th round rookie. Do you think he has the potential to be a Pro Bowl level safety? And how do you feel about him starting? Would you rather San Francisco go with veterans like Richie Grant or potentially Jair Brown? It would also mean a ton to me if you did enjoy this video, if you could go ahead and like and subscribe. It truly helps out the channel a ton. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.